you learn to work with each other. And it's kind of bringing it up how you can tell if there's where I'm getting is some guy came in, he got recycled back. Like, we were 3 weeks into boot camp. This guy was a doofus. He was not a good person. He got recycled back to he was at a 6. He was like almost ready to graduate. He did something stupid. They recycled him back to our squadron, and this guy was a bully. And
oh, wow.
About the second or third day, we all got tired of it, and it was crazy. As a group, we all asked TI to come into the day room with the guy in there, and we were just like, he's an asshole. Get him out of here. We don't want him in here. Like, we're like, this is what's going on. He's a bully. He's been trying to beat people up, and he was like, this guy face, like, he turned white, like pale white, like, get him out. And then TI's like, you're out. And so
wow.
It didn't matter, and he was a white guy. It didn't, once again, we didn't care what color you were.
That's
if
right.
you were a bad person, get the hell out,
That's
and
right.
We actually took another guy in, and he graduated with us, but he just couldn't do his push-ups and sit-ups. And so every day we kept pushing him, like, hey man, let's do these 10 push-ups. Let's do these 10 sit-ups. And every day we kept doing it. And at graduation, the guy was bawling because he finally had made it. The guy was in boot camp for like 11 weeks total.
Wow.
Because he kept getting washed back. He didn't quit, but when finally he made it. So
that's somebody you cheer for right there, That's
oh
awesome.
Man, we were all teary-eyed when we met his parents. His parents were crying because he was the first. His parents that came from India, so he was first generation American. And it was just, they were all excited.
That is so awesome.
So, but yeah, it was, boot camp. I actually, I'm telling a lot of these stories because my oldest son, who's a junior in high school, he's talking about going to the Air Force. My best friend's son, who's a junior in high school, he's going back and forth between the Army and the Air Force. And then another friend of mine, his son's a junior. Like, all three of our sons are juniors, and he wants to go into the Air Force. And I'm excited for him because, it's a scary part of your life because it's something new. But it's an exciting time in your life. And I'm like, man, I kind of envy you guys going through boot camp again, because it is fun. I mean, the Air Force boot camp is not as hard as the Marine Corps,
right.
Physically and mentally. But, when it boils down to it, you just gotta be able to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and just keep pushing forward. So,
well, I read a really interesting article this past week that was pretty phenomenal and brought things into light for me like I'd never understood. The military is actually becoming a generational thing now, where the majority of families are serving 2, 3, 4, 5 generations now that are carrying the weight of our volunteer force. And in fact, they're coming from these very small communities where they're tight-knit communities. They're oftentimes 2, 3 generations deep that have served in the military. And that's phenomenal to hear that, your friends, your son, all these people that are thinking about joining the military, that their father or their grandfather served, or both their grandfather and grandmother or grandmother and grandson, all served. And that's crazy to think that we are 1% of the population, but we're carrying the load of our country. And that's something that we take to heart, and we absolutely believe in. So hearing the joy that you've got in your voice for your son and his friends that are all thinking about it, that's phenomenal. That's what this is all about, because it excites me too. I'm just like you. I loved boot camp. I think it was phenomenal, and I think everybody should have a mandatory service in this country anyway, but that's just me. If we were king for a day, right?
Well, maybe not military time, but maybe Peace Corps, or you do something here in the States where you do like a year working with the homeless.
Absolutely.
And obviously boot camp military is not for everyone, which I totally understand. But I think one thing we're losing now in this country, not to get sidetracked, is that people are not getting involved too much. They're listening. I think right now it's a wave of up and down in history. Yeah. Right now, the media and everyone's finally realizing that the media is BS and they're fake news, and it doesn't matter if you listen or if you're left, right, and center. Nobody believes the media no more. People realize that it's just this whole sensitive time right now. It's just it'll phase out. Because these kids that are right now that are getting offended by everything, I think their kids will be like, I don't know, maybe they'll sit back and say, yeah, Mom and Dad, you're a little bit too sensitive, or, you know, I think it'll phase itself out. It's kind of like the hippie generation, you know. Look,
Sure.
I had a neighbor who was a retired Marine major, and he was a drill instructor during the Vietnam War, and he told me some whoppers of stories. And, you know, he used to get spit on walking in the airport when he came back from Vietnam, you know.
Absolutely.
And it's times are changing, and I think right now everyone's, you know, a little sensitive, but that's I think it'll change. So,
I agree 100%. So you get out of boot camp and you go to training to become a firefighter. What's that process like, Shane? How neat of an experience was that for you?
You know, it's in San Angelo, Texas, which the morning after we graduate, we get in Greyhound buses and they drive 250 miles to San Angelo from San Antonio. And we get off the bus, and as soon as we see somebody of authority, we all snap to, and the staff sergeant's like, y'all can relax. You're all boot camp.
You learn a new way.
Yeah. He's like, stand at ease, hang out, lean against it. It was only like, man, it was only 4 of us. It was like it was like 2 guys, 2 girls, and then all 4 of us would end up being in class together. So, I mean, it was, so you get your room assignment, and your roommate is somebody who's already in school, who's already doing the course, which is 13 weeks long. So I had to wait a month before the rest of my class came in. You know, we had a couple of reservists, people who were staff sergeants, tech sergeants who went to cross train. I think we had 3 or 4 of them because our class leader was a tech sergeant. And I think the people who came out of boot camp like me, I think there was only 4 or 5 of us. And I think there was like 11 total, 11 or 12, and the rest of them were reservists, you know, who were cross training. So the first week is, you just get acclimated to the fire department. You know, you go over the gear, the trucks, terminology, stuff like that. You know, you spend a day or 2 kind of getting an idea of how the 911 center 911 operations center works. And actually, let me back up. When I say 11 or 12, there was 11 or 12 Air Force. The other half of the class was Marines. And so there was like, I think they have a total of 20, 25 people in each class. So it could be a mixture of Air Force, Marines. Now it's Navy, but back then it wasn't Navy. So back then it was just Air Force, Marine, and Army was at the schoolhouse. And we had half Air Force, half Marine. And it was so funny. The first day in class, they did it. Air Force, Marine, Air Force, Marine. That's how they sat. And I sat between 2 prior infantry grunts.
Holy cow.
They were some hard asses. I was like, how y'all doing? Like, I'm like a happy Air Force. Like, how y'all doing? They're like, shut the fuck up. I'm like, oh, and I literally was like, okay, take it easy, buddy. Like, I know you can beat I was like, look, man, I've had 2 other brothers. I've had my ass whooped, but, you know, you can relax, you know, just shut up. They were so worried. Come to find out, we all become friends. We all party together. But in the beginning, you know, they were so high strung from being infantry that when they got, you know, it took them a little bit to relax around us. You know, of course, there was a bantering, you know, chair force and jarhead. But at the end of the day, you know, we were all firemen when we came to graduate, and, you know, we all were family. But
so graduation, you mentioned graduation. You go to Japan?
Oh, so real quick, anyone listening, if you go to fire school, hazmat is the hardest portion. There's a 5-day portion where you do ops and awareness.
Absolutely.
So study your ops and awareness before going in, because that was the hardest. That was the biggest. Like, people in classes, that's when you would lose people, because you would get 2 chances to take a test, and if you failed it the second time, they'd wash you back. And we got lucky. We were the 2nd or 3rd class to keep everybody from taking, like, you know, there's a lot of classes ahead of us.
Sure.
And we were like 2nd or 3rd class to keep everybody from passing. So I graduated, and then going back to Ohio, like getting stationed in Dayton, and I was okay with it at first. It was great to be, you know, I was like an hour away from my parents, and my days off, we were 24 on, 24 off.
Mm-hmm.
And my days off, I would go and help my parents, help my dad in the field and farming. But then, you know, after a couple of months, I'm like, you know what? I need to get the hell out of here. So I went and changed my dream sheet to worldwide volunteer. And I worked at Wright-Patterson, which was fine. It was just like working at now it's all civilian fire department. There's no military there anyway. It's all civilian. But March of '99, I actually came down here to Florida to visit a friend of mine who I was at school with in fire department, our fire school. Spent a week down here for spring break. Got up to Ohio, and we had these answering machines. Those plastic answering machines attached to your phone. So I had a couple messages. I clicked it, and the first one was from our commander, and she's like, Airman CRONLEY, please call me when you get back from vacation. And I was like, oh my God, what the hell?
You're in trouble.
Like I was sick. I was about to throw up. I'm like, what did I do wrong? Yeah, so I called. I'm like, yes, ma'am. And the first word she said was something to the fact like, what's wrong? You don't like it here at Wright-Patterson? I'm like, ma'am, I don't. What? I'm sorry. She goes, well, I'm looking at some orders right here that you're getting for you to go to Tokyo, Japan, to Yokota Air Base. And I'm like, huh? She goes, congratulations, you got orders to Japan. And I screamed so loud that she said she had to move the phone away from her ear because I was so happy.
That is
like,
so awesome.
Yes. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, man. She goes, no, I'm really happy to hear you're happy because usually people are like upset that they have to get deployed. And like, no, like I'm from here. I want to go see the world. And so like,
well, I tell you what, Shane, on that note, man, I hate to cut you short, but let's do a second podcast with you if you don't mind. So what we'll do, we'll schedule a second round for the Honor Across Arms podcast. We'll pick up when you get orders to Japan, and we're going to go from there.
Yeah, man, let's do it.
You got it, man. And Shane CRONLEY, thanks so much for being the guest today on the Honor Across Arms podcast. We appreciate everything you've done for your country, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Take care. Listeners, take care.
Line over there, over there. Send the word over there. That the Yanks are coming, the Yanks are coming. The drums coming everywhere. So prepare, say a prayer. Send the word to beware. We'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over there, over there.